What's up, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Whack4863, but you can call me Whack. I want to dive into the Dune Awakening monetization setup that Funcom has created for the game, and I'm a little bit surprised, but before I get into my thoughts, let's hear a little bit from this clip of the live stream.
The business model for Dune Awakening is just as Joel said it. We're not going to be releasing early access. It's going to be a full game at launch, a full launch, and then we're doing a DLC business model or the monetization model. So we're going to be releasing DLCs, and then we're going to talk a little bit about it in the pre-orders. But then there's a season pass where you can get the first 4 DLCs included.
Correct.
So in my mind, it's very interesting that they're going with a DLC system and not having an in-game store. Now, many of you may raise your pitchforks when I say this, but most MMOs have an in-game store. And they talk a little bit later on in the video about swatches and being able to dye your armors different ways with these swatches. Well, the only way that I can see that these swatches are coming out is in the DLC packs. And they only have 4 DLC packs scheduled for the season right now, which means the season likely lasting a year has 4 DLC packs, and that's the only way that we're going to be able to get swatches to dye our different armors. Now, in most MMOs, you would see these types of things, these different outfits, these different style outfits, the ability to dye those outfits, all in a in-game store where you pay real currency in order to do that. I've been playing a lot of Throne and Liberty recently, which is a true MMORPG, where if I want a different color or a different style or pattern on my outfit, the only real ways to get that is either by completing the battle pass, buying the premium edition, or buying those things from the store. Now, in Throne and Liberty, at least, those items can be acquired free, but you don't get as many as you may want in order to actually dye your outfit. So being able to buy them in the store or buy the battle pass and receive them makes it a lot easier to then dye your armor the way you want. And individuality is very important in an MMORPG, or really any MMO, since I feel like Dune Awakening is going to be on the light side of MMO. I just don't see how the swatch system is going to give me the individuality that I want if we're only getting a few when DLCs launch. This is something that's big and prevalent across MMOs. Now, Dune Awakening isn't necessarily a true MMO, and I'll get into that in another video later on this week, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss that video. However, I feel like Dune Awakening is ripe for this kind of thing, like the fact that there's no in-game store, just like they added to Conan Exiles, where honestly it kinda doesn't make sense. Dune Awakening, I feel like, actually makes sense to have that kind of in-game store, and it looks like they're ignoring that. Now, maybe they're ignoring that because it's just not ready and we'll see it in the future, but for it to just be a DLC pack gives me a little bit of worry that this is not the long-term setup for the game. This is the launch monetization program, and we're going to see a switch down the road. I mean, there's nothing to say that Funcom isn't just repeating the past here, where they looked at what worked for Conan Exiles and they're trying to apply that to Dune, and then maybe they'll make that switch later on in the game's life cycle. However, I feel like anytime you make a monetization switch, that's really not a good thing for a game. So if they plan on having an in-game store, they really should have that ready at launch and launch that right along with their DLC program or whatever they're going to do or think about doing in the future. Now, don't get me wrong here, I'm not upset that it's a DLC system. I'm just really surprised that they went this route instead of going the route of having an in-game store. The only real worry that I have about all of this is that at some point in time, they'll change the monetization system from a DLC monetization system over to a store and possibly a battle pass monetization system. And I just feel like making that switch isn't good for games in general, and it wouldn't be good for Dune Awakening. Let's dive into the 3 different editions for the game that you can pre-order, and pre-orders are available now. If you pre-order the standard version of the game, you'll get the Sunset Die Swatch and the Terrarium of Maudib. The standard version of the game is $49.99 USD. One tier above that is the deluxe edition of the game. In addition to the items that I already mentioned that you get for pre-ordering, you also get the Season Pass, which includes 4 DLCs. You get a Sardaukar Bator armor, and then in addition to that, you get to play on May 15th instead of waiting till May 20th. And that edition of the game is listed for $69.99 USD. Now, I know many of you probably want to hear my thoughts on the Head Start. I'm going to make a whole video talking about the Head Start because there's a ton to cover just about that topic. So again, subscribe, ring the bell, watch for that video. Switching over to the Ultimate Edition, you get all of the previous mentioned things. In addition to that, you get the Kalandin Palace building set, which they specified were the placeables in the image. They said that the floors and the walls were not part of that building set. You also get 2 of the swatches, one for your sand bike and then one for an ornithopter, and then the digital art book and the digital soundtrack. Now this guy pops in at $89.99 USD. Now, something that I came across while searching SteamDB for Dune Awakening is that they have 5 DLCs listed, though I think one of those is probably the Kalandin DLC pack that you get with the Ultimate Edition. However, these are listed at $9.99 a piece, so your best money bet if you're planning on buying the DLCs is to actually buy the deluxe edition because it's only $20 more than the standard edition and you're getting those 4 DLCs. Which again are listed on SteamDB for $9.99 USD for each DLC. So that's a $40 value and you're saving $20 by getting the deluxe edition. Now, I tried to find some images or additional information about the first DLC, and all I could find was this. The first of these DLCs will contain several placeables inspired by the wildlife of Arrakis. Now, hopefully more information about that DLC is right around the corner, and we'll have that prior to May 15th when we actually get it in game. So while I'm surprised by the direction that Funcom decided to go with the monetization of Dune, I think it's pretty easy to understand what they're going for here and how they're going to make their money. And I want to know in the comments section below, what are your thoughts on the 5-day head start? Is that something that you support or are you totally against it? I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. Don't forget to whack the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more content. And if you don't want to be out of whack, there's another video on the screen right now that you can click to support more of my content.